Yeah!
Go!
Go! Yeah! Oh! That is a hit at a mile. Alright guys, welcome back to 243 Outdoors. My name is Josh. Today we are going to be taking a closer look at the Lee Auto Breech Lock Pro Progressive Press, currently set up in 9mm. I recently started casting bullets using a NOE HTC 358-133 round nose mold and have powder coated them red using Harbor Freight powder. I have been struggling a little bit with the powder coating process. However, I have got probably about 1,000 rounds or so powder coated. I've made several rounds in the last couple days, but I got a bunch here. We also have some 9mm brass. This is once fired brass that has been run through the tumbler, so it's ready to go. We got the press all set up with all the options basically they make for it. We have a case feeder, we have the Lee Safety Prime, we have the Lee Auto Disc powder measure, and we have a bullet feeder. I've been playing with the bullet feeder over the last day or so, and it's not 100% reliable, and I think I really like it without it. When it works, but you have to keep a constant eye on it, and every little bit it quits spitting bullets out. The concept's pretty good, but it needs a little bit more fine-tuning. So tonight we're going to make some nines. Everything's set up here. We'll be using 6 grains of HS6, and we'll be loading them to about 1.160. The first thing we're going to do tonight is add some brass to our case feeder. We have this Lee bullet collator on top, and what this does, it kind of orients the brass, the heavy side down, so the rim part falls down. It's not 100% perfect, but it does do a pretty good job. Basically, each tube holds about 25 rounds, and about every 100 you'll get one in backwards, but it's not too bad. So we'll just start by adding a handful here. I always kind of add them to the edge, and then all you're going to do is shake it. It's amazing how well this does work, but when a case comes out upside down, you generally see it and can flip it, so it's not a real big deal. And generally, see that one there just fell upside down. Generally, it's the first ones you put in that fall upside down, or one of the last ones I've seen. So the bullets we'll be using tonight are the HTC 358-133 round nose bullet from NOE. This is very similar to a factory round. I have shot several of these so far, and they actually shoot very nice. They're very comparable to a factory round, and we're shooting them at very close to factory velocities. So I have this little Matthews Fabrication dump tray here, and I'm using it to stage my bullets up on. So we'll take a handful more and add to it, and this works pretty good for staging bullets. So tonight I'll try to give you guys a couple different views. I know it'll be kind of hard to see, but I'll kind of talk through what we're doing. Our first die is our resizing and decapping die. We'll run over to our powder through expanding die. We're running the Lee Auto Disc on top. We have the seating die set up with the bullet feeder. However, I do have the linkage off of the bullet feeder, so we won't be using it. And the last one is our Lee factory crimp die. This is a four position press, and let's see if we can get started. So I do notice that right here on our third one is upside down, so we'll have to catch it here. But we'll get out of turn, it drops our rounds down, and we can get started. So when the handle is down is when you prime. We're using Winchester small pistol primers. I'm used to saying rifle, but we are loading pistols. This upstroke will prime the round. So this round coming into the shell plate is upside down, so we're going to flip it right now. And just glancing through, we're going to have another one right here, so I'll be looking for it. So we're going to stop here. I do want to get some lights like an LED, and I'm just verifying we got powder. This powder measure has been doing excellent. Haven't had any issues with it. I do want to get an adjustable charging disc or the little charging bar so I can kind of fine tune it. These have preset holes. So at this point we'll be adding a bullet to position number 3. So every time now when the handle is up we will add a bullet, and when the handle is down we will prime our case. So a couple more pulls and we'll be making a round every time. Occasionally I do forget to use the safety prime, and I keep a few extra primers sitting right here so I don't have to mess up the whole operation. I can just pick one up and set it. I'll probably do that for a little bit until I get used to this. One thing I have noticed with this press is as it turns, it kind of jerks when it locks into the detent and into this pin that holds it steady, and it will cause a few flakes of powder to jump out of the case. One remedy to this is to put an O-ring right here, and I actually did that, but the O-ring was a little too big and it wasn't quite going in the battery and it was jamming it up. So if I do that, I need to get a little bit thinner O-ring. If you do mess up, it has these little plastic keepers and you can just pull and it'll fold out of the way and then you can push it back. So that is a handy little deal. So I don't care if this is a Speed Demon press, I just want good steady results. So it's still pretty new to me, so I'm not getting in no hurry. I'm trying not to mess any steps up, and like I said, if you go pretty fast you really kind of start slinging that powder, and there's no reason to do that. So this one is upside down. I'm just going to pull it out for right now. I'll put it back in right way. So we're not going to put a primer in at this time since we have no round coming in. And we will put a primer this time. We do not have to put a bullet because we have no round there. So now we're back to normal operation. So it's kind of a little bit to look at, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. It don't really matter if you get the bullet super straight, as long as it's sitting in that flare, the seating die will line everything up. and occasionally it does skip a round out. That bend's about as close to it as it can get. I don't know if it would help if I raised it up. And there we have it. So this one here is coming at 1.160 is what we want. I've measured a bunch of these projectiles and they vary about 4 thousandths. So I could see as low as 1.15, really 8 to 1.6162, somewhere in that range. But they're staying pretty consistent. And I have been running a few through the chronograph, and through the Glock 19 they are averaging about 1,090 feet per second. If I get that adjustable charge bar for this powder measure, I'll probably back it down a couple tenths and get it around 1070 or so. But these seem to be shooting really well, and I'm really liking it so far. So let's talk about this press a little bit, what I like, what I don't like. One thing I really like is this case feeder. It works very well. It's very easy to set up. There's a large hole and small hole. This is universal, so it'll fit about anything. As far as adjusting it, it's just making sure it's about a penny's thickness from the housing here, and when it drops the empty case down, you want it the bottom of it about a penny's thickness above it. Other than that, you just snug it down. One thing I do not like is how this handle is. It's a good handle, but when you are pushing forward to prime it, occasionally you will contact this and push it into it. I have binded this up into that a couple times. So if we take this handle and just maybe bend it out just a little bit more, that would make a big difference. When this press come out of the box, this little slide that pushes the round, it didn't look like it was sitting on there real well, and I actually removed it, and this case feeder came with one and I swapped it out with it, and this works much better. So I don't know if that first one wasn't quite made right or what. I did not load any rounds with it, I just didn't like how it looked. Another thing is this little tool caddy. It holds the other priming arm and 2 Allen wrenches. I have a mark right here where I had this Allen wrench. I think I had it kind of turned this way, and it actually caught it right there. So that was something, if you turn it over this direction, it seems to work pretty good. Out of sequence, there we go. Like I said, I don't like the fact that the powder kind of spills out as it spins. If you was actually running this pretty fast, you would probably spill quite a bit of powder. As far as changing the shell plate, it's fairly simple. This has the breech lock bushings, so everything comes out very easy. and you just move your indexing rod, take your Allen wrench, loosen that up, the shell plate pops out. It's pretty simple. I was kind of looking forward to using the bullet feeder, and I don't think that's really going to work out. It's not going to be as reliable as I want it to be. You have to constantly keep an eye on it, and I'm not really interested in doing that. It's just a lot simpler to set it on hand. How they stack in this tube here, I'll raise it up a little bit, they kind of zigzag a little bit. This is a big tube with a smaller tube in the center of it, and if that tube was quite a little bit, if it was just a little bit smaller, it may work better. I added a piece of Velcro to the bottom of it to act as a cushion, and that helped quite a bit. But like I said, it's just not a, I don't know, it works, but it's not a well-developed idea. I did grind a little bit on the bracket here because that bracket contacts this lock ring. Everything has to be in perfect alignment and orientation to work, and I thought I'll just grind that off, and it worked pretty well. The linkage is pretty simple. You just unhook it, and that disables it. The safety prime works pretty well. It's just kind of hard to get used to. Being that this is the only progressive press that I have, once I get the hang of it, I don't see any problems with it. As far as mounting it, I originally mounted it to my desk. The desktop was not strong enough for this press, and I left it there for a day, and then I moved it over here. I have an 11 by 12 inch piece of steel here. It has about 3.5 inch lag bolts going into the 2x4s, one here, and one on the end. I have a smaller piece of steel underneath it, which the back press bolt, this side and this rear one, go through that steel so it distributes the load out. It's a very solid mount, so it's working pretty well here. I did have to clearance the 2x4 here for the primer tube. I see that a lot. I thought if I mounted it flush it would be fine, but a guy really needs to slide that plate out about a 1/2 inch. But I got that kind of ground out. There's a lot of plastic parts on it, but I think it's going to be okay. I don't see any issues with it. The auto disc powder measure has two kind of setups you can do. This one, it automatically resets itself. I can also change a lever out and hook a chain, and that'll reset itself. That position's kind of recommended for progressive presses so you don't get a double charge, but I really haven't seen any issues leaving it like this. Like I said, I do want to upgrade to that adjustable charge bar. Really, it's a good press if you're looking to get a press that'll run exactly out of the box with no problems. I'm not going to recommend this press. This press is going to require a little bit of tinkering here and there. This top was off just a little bit when I got it. I had to loosen these screws up, and I actually ran 4 rounds up into the dies and then tightened it, and it was probably a 1/16 of an inch off, but it was binding the cases up. So I really didn't like that. There's been a few other little deals. The powder spilling can get underneath the shell plate, and it does kind of maybe bind it or just give it a little bit of resistance. Other than that, it seems like it's going to be a pretty good press. I've probably made close to 300 rounds in the last couple days on it. Like I said, I haven't gotten no big hurry with it. I'm still kind of learning. It's still kind of new to me. But like I said, I'm really impressed with this case feeder. It's working real well. It's one less thing to do. So basically, downstroke you're priming, upstroke you're adding a bullet, and everything else is automatic, and it seems to be working pretty good. Once in a while, it'll kind of get out of time, and you you can index it by hand and get it back where it needs to be. So that's not a big deal. But overall, it seems to be a pretty good value, I think. So this has just kind of been a first look, first thoughts. I wanted to run the press for a couple days before I made a video and give you my honest first impression. Like I said, I've had a little bit of issues here and there. Nothing major, just a little bit of adjusting and tinkering here and there, and it seems to be running pretty good. I'll probably just go ahead and take this bullet feeder off because, like I said, I don't think I'm really interested in it. I want to give a shout out to Kenny at Eagle Eye Shooting. He got one of these presses very early and has put up a couple videos on his. So if you want a little more info or another person's perspective on this press, check out Eagle Eye Shooting. So that's going to wrap up today's video. I want to remind you guys to check out the reloadersnetwork.com. It's a place for shooters, casters, reloaders. There's also some other content, outdoor type stuff on there. Be sure and check it out. It's updated almost every day with new content from different creators and different platforms, and you never know what you're going to see on there. So I'll probably try to get out and make a video shooting some of these rounds here in the next day or two, and let you see how it does. I think they shoot pretty well. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. Be sure and check out the links below, and as always, thanks for watching.